We fall, we break, we fail. But then, we rise, we heal, we overcome. I choose to live by choice, not by chance. To be motivated, not manipulated. To be useful, not used. To make changes, not excuses. To excel, not compete. I choose self-esteem, not self-pity. I choose to listen to my inner voice, not the random opinions of others. I choose to do the things others will not, so I can continue to do the things others cannot. Fate whispers to the warrior, "You cannot withstand the storm." The warrior replied, "I am the storm."
This is Doc's Daily Dose, and you are a warrior.
Well, here we are again. Coach Doc, welcome to Doc's Daily Dose. So I wanted to share something with you that I really enjoy. As you know, I get to give talks all over the country and in Canada. Hopefully, we'll be moving outside of the country sometime soon. But the thing that I love to do the most in my talks is not just give the talk, but save 10 to 15 minutes at the end for Q&A. And I will stay as long as questions are being asked, unless there's a presenter right after me and I don't want to run into their time. But otherwise, I'm staying up there. You don't got to pay me extra. You don't have to do anything extra. I'm going to be there. I'm going to answer all the questions. And my hope is at some point with the journal, the podcast, I'll be releasing the Wellness Blueprint coming up around Christmas time, and all the other things that I'm doing and plan on having, that I guess my brand, me, becomes big enough to where, yeah, I give talks and open them to the public, but really what it is showing up for 2-hour-long Q&A sessions where people can stand up and ask any question they want, anything they think I might be able to give them insight on based off of listening to my work, my content, and hearing my reflections. And I said, well, why wait for that? Let's just start doing it now. And so I want to ask you, one, if you have questions, if you've ever thought like, Doc may be a good person to answer that, or I wonder what he thinks about that, send them in. Send them in now. I want to hear all the questions, okay? You can email me at coachdoc@muchlovealways.com. That's coachdoc@muchlovealways.com. You can put them in the comments in Spotify or the comments in the YouTube video of the podcast. But I'll collect all of those questions and do like a once, maybe twice a month Q&A session. And if I can get this hookup and equipment to be figured out right, like my mic right now with the turning, swivel camera thing is not connecting. So now we're just stationary for today. But once I figure that out, maybe I can go live Q&As and be able to broadcast and capture the recording. I'm sure it's not that hard to figure out, but I just have to have the time to do it. And one of my patterns is football season, and football season, I'm super busy. But I am on this app, and you may have heard me talk about this app before, but the app essentially allows people from all over the world to pose any question to anyone, and they have 60 seconds to answer. And then people can respond, leave little comments and messages. I'm not going to say the app's name. They don't sponsor me. I don't promote them. But I thought it might be a good place to give an example of how much I love Q&A, because I share these. I heard something beep, so I have to check. Just stay there. Well, remember I said we're raw and unedited, so maybe you saw business on the top, party on the bottom. But whatever, it is what it is, right? That's a ball up top. So as I was saying, I love this app. There's no promotion of it. I don't get anything out of it. It's just I love to answer questions. So please send those questions. And I figured I'd answer anywhere from 5 to 6 of these questions as I run through some of the ones that have been sent to me. So, excuse me, as I have my phone with me, but that's where the app is. And let's take a look at one of the questions I saw that is new that I actually really like. Let's see. How do you wind down before bedtime to ensure good sleep? All right. I talk about my morning routine to wake up all the time and how I don't use my cell phone. My cell phone stays in my office throughout the night. But here's what I do to unwind before I go to bed. Um, First off, I usually go to sleep at 10 o'clock. So an hour before then, around 9, maybe sometimes 9:30, I go and charge my phone up and I don't touch it anymore, right? I just don't. I may sit outside and have a conversation. I may hang out with the kids. I may sit down and watch a little bit of TV that I'm not really paying attention to, may do a little writing, but whatever I'm doing, I'm sitting and relaxing and I'm not scrolling, I'm not using my phone. The other thing is, there is no entertainment device in the bedroom. There's no television. There's no phones. So when it's time to go in there and go to sleep, my body has become accustomed to, this is a dark room that we sleep in, right? Like, this is where we go to sleep. So when my head hits that pillow, we know what time it is. We really, really do. Another thing I like to do before I go to bed around 9 o'clock, 8:45, is I'll stretch for 15 to 20 minutes. I think I've mentioned her before. Her name is Cassandra on YouTube. I love, she has these evening, kind of calm you down, stress reliever yoga, real simple for beginners stretches. And I'll just do those and settle my body, settle my breathing. Now I don't have my phone. I'm relaxed. I go into the room that knows my body at 10 o'clock that this dark room is where we're going to sleep. And that's what happens. So that's how I unwind. All right, let's go to another one of these questions here. These ones, the new questions I have, not all of them were that great. Well, I won't say there's no stupid questions, right? They just weren't that intriguing for the podcast. But I'll scroll through some I've already answered before, and I haven't listened to my answer previous that I've already posted. So maybe it'll change, maybe not. Here's a good one. How do you cultivate a growth mindset? You got to practice it like anything else, right? You have to be on a path of growth. So every chance you get, taking opportunities to learn something new, taking an opportunity to fail, training your mind to look for those opportunities of growth. To just do the same thing over and over, wash, rinse, repeat, there is no growth in that. To take on only tasks that you know you'll be successful in, there is no growth in that, right? I take on new things, try new adventures. I allow myself to be intrigued and to discover and explore the same way a kid would. I ask the questions. There's one, I don't like when people do it in conversation. If we're having a conversation, you don't need to Google the answer if we both don't know, unless it's like a burning thing. But if I'm by myself, right, and I have a question about something, or I think about something because I heard something, I will Google that and go down the rabbit hole and just continue to expand my horizons and my interests and my knowledge base. So building a growth mindset is just seeking the growth and practicing that action and doing it continuously in every aspect of your life, even in my exercise, right? I like to take on challenges so that way I'm growing throughout those 8 weeks challenge, or when that gets done, switching over to a different exercise. Right now, I'm challenging myself with handstands. Yeah, handstands. You would kind of think it's childish and silly. It is a little bit, but it's a lot of fun and it's really hard. I've gotten myself up to being able to do about 3.5 to 4 seconds of an unsupported handstand, like straight up, like a pencil. So satisfying, right? But that's growth. Even as someone who's been in sports all my life and been coaching for years, over a decade, almost 2 now, to be able to say, I'm going to learn how to do something new that other physically fit people can do, that's growth. Practice it. Just start and just continue to do it. Let's see. What's hard for you that comes easily for others? Interesting one. I don't actually know if it's easy for other people, but I've taught a lot of people how to do it because it's a great exercise, mental exercise to do for the body, whether it be for a spiritual practice or a sports practice or just a manifestation desire practice, but it's visualization. Now, I listened to a Radiolab podcast about it, and I can't remember exactly what it's called, but it's very rare, and I believe I have it. Most people, when you say close your eyes and visualize an apple, they can shut their eyes and they can see the apple. I was talking to my son about it, and he was like, yeah, it's a red apple. I can even see where the light is bouncing off the wax and it's got a green leaf. And I'm like, I can't do that. I can't. When I close my eyes and think of an apple, I think of like the concept of an apple. I don't even know how to describe it. It's not like I see the word apple. I just, the idea that apple's there, right? So a lot of times when I do visualization techniques about, desires and things like that, for me, it's not trying to picture the thing. It's just trying to embody the emotion I would feel if I had that thing. And then I stay with that emotion. Now, I have tried practicing where you take an object and you stare at it for like 5 minutes straight, analyzing all the little details of it to then close your eyes and try to recreate it in your mind. But it's worked for me to not be able to visualize like that, for 41 years now. So why would I switch that up? But I think that's something it's easy for a lot of people that like, I just can't do. I just can't do it. All right. What triggers you in an argument and how do you deal with it? Well, what triggers me the most in an argument outside of disrespect is when I have to repeat myself because someone's choosing not to listen, or when someone tries to spew their opinion as fact when they have nothing to back it up. They're making claims as if something is real and legit and it's just their opinion. So how do you handle something that triggers you? Well, for me, and some people may say that it's not the best way to handle it, but I ask you to try your different ways. One, if it's something that is not relevant in terms of my life or it's going to have no bearing on anything, and I just see that I'm going to be in an argument with someone who's not going to listen and is just trying to get their point across, I'll just let them get their point across and go, okay, thanks for the information. And I'll walk away. Like, why am I going to waste my time? Or I'll just walk away, right? The other thing is, I will, if it's a point that really needs to be made, I will make that point with facts that I can back up to counter their argument, to give them an opportunity to look that up for themselves. But I'm not going to allow myself to be triggered to the point of yelling or screaming. I'm not going to allow myself to be triggered to the point of feeling like I now have to attack them personally, right? We can't allow others to control our emotions even when they trigger us. You recognize the trigger and you know what it is, therefore you can spot it when it's coming. So prepare yourself on how you're going to handle it should it show up. And the best way to do that is exit stage left if you need to, or have some sort of counter to your trigger to make sure you stay settled. Because the moment your emotions rise is the moment that argument turns into something that's no longer a conversation. All right. Prioritizing your mental health alongside your physical health. Well, how do you do that? I think a lot of people think of those as two separate things, when in actuality, they're interconnected like everything else, right? If I take care of my mental health, it's going to give me more energy to want to go and work out, to want to feel good inside of my body. And if I take care of my body, it's going to give me more confidence and put me in a better energetic space or in a better emotional state to be able to handle whatever emotions are going on. But to just feed one, right, starves the other. So you have to have practices for both. For my physical, I practice through exercise. For my mental, I practice through reading, through learning, through coaching, right? Doing things on the fly as well, and creating things like the podcast. For my spiritual, I meditate, right? So these are all practices. And when you have them locked in and you're doing the thing and experimenting with them, but you're always at least getting one thing in for each of those every single day, all of that strings itself together for a nice whole, for a nice moment of, I'm settled, I'm aligned, physically, mentally, spiritually, I'm all in right here, right now. Even when one is tipping heavier than the other, but the other ones will get you to take care of the one that's lacking. You know, this is an interesting one. It says, what do you want to be known for? I just want to be known as someone who tried their best, right? Who maximized their potential and did it with an idea of helping other people. Like, do I believe this podcast helps others? Yes. Have other people told me that? Yes. Do I do it in a hopes to change the world? No. I do it to share because I enjoy, and I know that in sharing, that's going to actually help someone. But all I want to be known for is like, he did his best. He did his best as a dad. He did his best as a husband. He did his best as a coach. He did his best. And I think that's because a lot of times I put a lot more pressure on myself, like we always do, like we all do, in that, did I really give 100%? Couldn't I have been better? So just want to be known for someone who's always trying and not scared to try to do better. And let's see, I'll give you two more questions here. And now these questions that I'm asking you to send in, I don't need them to be about me. I don't like, what do you do type thing, unless you want to ask those. But I'd love for you to just ask general questions that could be of help and benefit for you, right? I'll give you an example. I got to go and give a talk to the Hesperia in Victorville Unified School District with some at-risk youth students. And it was actually two Supernatural members who invited me, Lori and Cynthia. And Cynthia put this program together. And afterwards, I was doing my Q&A as I always do. And one of the persons says, well, how would one stay positive all the time and have a good outlook? And I was just like, you don't. That's not a real thing, right? It's okay for you to have the emotion of sadness, of anger, of jealousy, of frustration. You're human, right? But don't allow yourself to be controlled by that and live in that. Recognize what you're feeling. See if there's a solution to the problem. If there's not, vent to whoever you need to vent to, or write it down. And then it's time to move forward. But there's no reason to stay there in that loop. It does nothing for you but bring you down. So that's an example of saying, like, ask me questions you think may be of benefit to you. All right. I think I'll close with this one. How do you stay connected with friends and family while maintaining a healthy lifestyle? Well, first off, my lifestyle is healthy, but I'm not a health nut, right? I don't count my macro and micros. I don't, eat all raw natural foods. I love a good street taco off the burrito truck. All right. So sorry for the thing cutting off there. This is the third time I've tried to record that podcast. Each one has actually been 3 different topics. I don't care. I'm not doing it. I need to take some time over the weekend to figure out what little thing I tweaked this time. It had to do with the iPhone storage. So I hope you enjoy the few questions I guess I did answer. And I hope you do send something in. I appreciate you. And thanks for listening. Oh, and much love always.
Be grateful for adversity, for it forces the human spirit to grow. For surely, the human character is formed not in the absence of difficulty, but in our response to difficulty.
Thank you for listening to Doc's Daily Dose. I truly appreciate you. The ability to be honest and show strength and vulnerability doesn't happen without you pressing play. If you've got any suggestions, any ideas, or simply want to help make this show bigger and better, at the end of the show notes here, please feel free to donate and support Doc's Daily Dose. If you've got any questions that you want me to answer on the podcast, well, hit me up. A simple email, coachdoc@muchlovealways.com. Don't forget to sign up for our newsletter on muchlovealways.com and check out anything else on the website. Again, I'm truly thankful for you. Much love always.